And let me get comfortable. All right. So it looks like we're live. Just let me check the feed over on the Podnutz network and refresh. And Google's advertising. I don't know why. This always happens to me. Come on. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I don't care about that as much anymore. All right, I think I can close that window out. All right. And it looks like we are live on the internet to you and me, which is fine. Okay, so... all right. And I think we will get going. So I've got recording is going. And here we go. Welcome to Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 95. I am your host, Jeff Halash. I'm joined today by Corey Fruitman from InstantHousecall.com. How's it going, Corey?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent on a Saturday evening with apparently nothing better to do than podcast.
That makes two of us.
But hey, we're going to have fun doing it because this is the highlight of my Saturday night. Wow, I hope not. Anyways, Corey, I appreciate you coming on the show. And basically, the reason I brought Corey back on is a few weeks ago we did an episode on Podnutz Daily. And in that episode, what we had talked about was Windows 8.1 and the modern apps and how they work and what they actually do and how a computer repair tech can use some of the features that's in Windows 8.1 to be able to do their jobs. And I was guilty of it. I did not learn Windows 8.1 or Windows 8 for that matter to the extent that I probably should have. And when I was at a customer's house, I really struggled and had a hard time trying to figure some basic things out. And and I know that might not be true for everyone, but it was true for me. So I know if it happened to me, it's probably happened to other people out there. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today, actually. We're going to talk about Windows 8.1 and maybe show you in video format some of the things that we were talking about last week. And we're also going to talk about some of the leaks with Windows 9. I'm excited about it. I don't know about you guys, but I am. Corey, are you excited about Windows 9?
I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to fix a lot of the things that people have been complaining about. I think there's going to be some improvements there that people have been waiting for literally years. I think it's going to be a huge step forward.
Excellent. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about those couple things, and then we're going to show Corey's Instant House Call modern app, and I'm going to call it a modern app right now or a Windows app, modern or Windows. And the reason for that is just to show what his modern app can do in the remote support field, which is his expertise, and he's always teaching me new things that I just go, wow, I didn't know you could do that. So I'm excited to learn from him and to learn what he knows about the leaks from Windows 9, which I personally haven't read up on too much. I've seen a little bit here and there, but he's got some insight and some speculation on his part of what's going to happen with some of that stuff. So where'd you want to start at, Corey? Basically, we could go back over and kind of talk about some of the things that as a computer repair tech you can do with Windows 8 and kind of reiterate some of the tasks there.
I think we can definitely start there. We can look at sort of the benefits of modern apps and how they work differently. And I can show you, since we're doing this with video, I can actually show you how the operating system handles the apps differently, so that you can explain it to your customers and show them the benefits and help them understand where things are going and why it's a benefit for them to use, say, the weather app instead of WeatherBug or whatever.
I don't know who would want to use WeatherBug. I still to this day, whether the customer this is bad to say, whether the customer wants it or not, I remove it. You know what I tell them? I said, it wasn't working right because I was doing a virus removal and things just got screwed up. And if they want to reinstall it again, they can reinstall it. But the reality is, that is, especially on a lot of these laptops and stuff, that is so memory hungry that it's just ridiculous. So that's one of the things I do to help speed the PC up. But that's personal for me. All right, so where do you want to start with Windows 8.1? What some of the things that we talked about that a computer repair tech. You want to show them on screen right now?
Yeah, sure. Why don't we switch to a screen share?
Okay, so let me start on my screen share here, and we'll give you a screen 2, and we'll share, and then let me click on that. So that's what we're showing, and then what I'll do is I will shrink my Google Hangouts down, and then go ahead, Corey. I will give you control, and then we can talk people through kind of what we're doing, since it still is mostly an audio podcast.
Okay, fair enough. So we're actually doing a fair bit of screen sharing here because I am remoted onto your computer. Now, in terms of, I know you don't have WeatherBug installed, and I won't install it on your computer. But in terms of one of the big differences with modern apps, and we touched on this in the previous show, but I can actually show you now that we're doing this. Now that we're doing this with a screen share. If I were to say open up your weather app, and you'll notice that I just went to the start screen and started typing weather, then it'll pop up full screen here. Now it looks like you haven't used it yet. I'll let you type in your location there.
Oops. And I think that's, yeah. There I am, Canton,
Okay.
Michigan.
Fantastic. So now if we go back to your desktop.
And you're clicking up in the left-hand corner to basically switch between the app and the desktop screen, correct?
Exactly. So if I hover my cursor in the top left-hand corner, you see that little outline that pops up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That outline shows which app I'm going to toggle to. It's a little thumbnail, and I can just sit there and I can keep on clicking. Same as Alt-Tab, same idea as Alt-Tab, but it allows you to toggle between your apps. So in this case, I'm toggling between the Weather app and your desktop, because those are the only two things that you've got open right now. Now the other thing I can do is I can grab that thumbnail and I can drag it. Whoops.
You grabbed the other icon.
I did. See, that's because I'm on the desktop though.
All right, so you're going to grab the thumbnail.
You would grab the thumbnail, and I think this has stuff to do with all this screen sharing going on right now.
There might be a little bit of lag in there. Yeah, if you want me to do it,
there we go.
Okay, you got it now.
So now you can see we've got the desktop and the weather app, and we can place it anywhere we want. So we can place it on the left or we can place it on the right. In this case, I'll place it on the right, and this is called split screen or snapped. So the weather app is, you can see it's changed its format to a tighter. Right. To a tighter layout, and you still have access to the desktop. And that's actually perfect for what this demo is going to show. So I'm going to right-click on the taskbar, and I'm going to choose the Task Manager. We're going to dive right into the nuts and bolts of this thing. And inside the Task Manager, you'll notice it's got a very different layout from what you're used to. I'm going to click on the App History tab. And the App History tab is going to show you CPU time, network, meter network, tile updates, basically everything that's going on. Now, if I were to scroll down to, say, the Weather app, there it is right there. You'll see that it's currently it's currently running. Now, if I you know what? Hang on one second. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. Details. is the tab I was looking for. And
Gotcha.
I'll scroll down to the I'll scroll down here, and we will find weather. Where is the weather app? See the
I think it's in alphabetical order, isn't it? Yeah, I don't
it
see
is.
it
You know what
anywhere.
I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up an app that I know a little bit better, which is Instant Housecall. All right.
Notice my beautiful screen here.
It is. It's stunning.
All 30 inches of it that Corey keeps complaining about because he's like, man, that's so much real estate.
Yeah, it's huge. All right.
All right, so you've got the two apps. So you've got the desktop app, and you're getting rid of the weather app, correct?
Yeah. So we'll just get rid of the weather app.
And the way he did that was he went up to the top of the screen. It drops a black bar down so that you can click the X on the right-hand corner, which we're used to in any windowed environment.
Exactly. Okay, so now we've got the desktop on the right. We have Instant Housecall on the left, and I happen to know that the Instant Housecall modern app is called Specialist Metro, and we will find that right up
I've got a lot of stuff running
here.
on my computer.
You do. Okay, so there's the app right there, and you can see the status is running. Now,
Okay.
if I were to put that app in the background, let's say I just slide it over and put the app in the background, you'll notice that you have 2 seconds, and then in those 2 seconds, that app is going to change from running to suspended, and you can see the status right there. Okay?
Yeah.
And then if I were to bring that app back, it will go back into its running state.
But you can, so anytime you basically shrink, it's basically shrinking the app down, for lack of better terms, and that will automatically suspend the app so it's not using any of your resources.
Exactly. So
Okay.
anytime your customer is not looking directly at the app, then it's going to go into suspended mode, and it can't use any resources. It can't use network. It can't use CPU. It can't cause your hard drive to thrash. And the purpose for that is, as we all know, we have a million things at startup, and we don't necessarily want them all, using resources at any given time, especially when we're not looking at them. So they'll suspend the app. Developers have 2 seconds to suspend their apps, and then we can no longer use resources. So that's the number, in my opinion, that's one of the top benefits to using a modern app, is that they can't use resources when you're not physically using them, unlike, say, desktop apps.
And that makes a lot of sense. So so when we're moving into this modern app interface or Windows app interface versus the desktop apps, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, the difference between a normal user and a power user. And I think you reiterated the point that a normal user really could live in the Windows modern apps pretty much the whole time. There's not a whole, I mean, not everything is perfected, but not everything is perfected on the desktop side either. But this is definitely a way that a person can get the most bang for their buck out of, especially some of these low-end laptops and different things, where resources are something that they have to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, and it makes like, as you said, low-end computers run smoother. It keeps high-end computers running at their best because your apps aren't just sitting there chugging up and using resources.
Because you're looking at the amount of apps I have running right now, and how many would you say is there a number that it tells you?
There isn't, but I'm gonna guess you've probably got about 100 going on there. Is that a fair guess?
I would say, yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if they were modern apps, then your computer wouldn't be using resources when, for example, they were put into the background. If you count 1, 2, you actually see it suspend right there in the
right. Yeah, it was quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that is amazing to me that they've made this system that we're so used to we should be able to run all the apps in different things, desktop apps or whatever, as we want. But the reality is, is computer repair techs, one of the things we have to do all the time is, the startup menu. Anytime you install a new app, it gives what I call a dumb button. And basically what it is it's basically saying, hey, so we don't take, 2 seconds to get this app open, we're going to have it sitting here in the background running all the time, so that it takes you 1 second to get it open. And quite honestly, once you have, I'm cleaning computers that have 91 things at startup. And when I was back in the Windows XP days, my whole point was to try to get people to right around 47 was the number of things that app absolutely needed to run. Other than that, man, I shut everything else down. Well, there's a lot of good apps out there nowadays that we use for different things that we need to have running. I've got Skype and OneDrive, and I'm looking at my printer, my video card stuff. I mean, all this stuff's running in the background in hogging up resources. Especially the memory. Now, for me, it's not as huge of an issue because I have 32 gigs of RAM, but most people do not have 32 gigs of RAM that are running a laptop.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you can see if you go to the modern control panel, I'm just going to head down there right now.
So we opened up the Charms menu over on the far right-hand side. If you click over there in the upper right-hand corner, correct, brings up the Charms bar.
In the top right-hand. I used WinC because I'm a keyboard junkie, but
okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you can either use WinC or move your mouse to the top right corner. It'll open up that sidebar. That's called the Charms bar. And let's take a quick look here.
Oh man, look at that good-looking guy in that account picture there. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we live? Oh, okay. It's all about the car, really. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the startup apps have been moved to what are called lock screen apps, and we're looking at those right now. So when we went to the Charms and Settings, clicked on PC and Devices, you can see lock screen. Along here, you can see all of the different apps that are going to start up with your computer. And I think you're pretty close to maxing them out right there.
I am maxed because I had to drop something off to get instant house call in there.
There you go. So those apps have special capabilities, and they're kind of like if you look down on your desktop. Let me go back to your desktop, and you look in the system tray, that little up arrow. I don't even know what that's called, but these guys down here that are tucked away.
In the right, the lower right-hand corner, the little what I call it, menu arrow for all the things that are basically running in the background, desktop-wise.
Exactly, down by the clock. So those are all the apps that you currently have running, and those are obviously using resources. The modern version of the same is a lock screen app, and they're limited to prevent you from having too many things that start up, and again, keeps your customer's computer running a little bit more smoothly.
And it's limited to 7, I believe. Right now, I had to pull the calendar app out of there. I've got email, instant house call. Oh no, I might have the calendar app. I can't remember what I dropped off. Skype, Twitter, Facebook, and Amazon. So any of those things, anytime there's if you look at the live tiles when you're on your start screen, those live tiles, like for Amazon, will have deals of the day, or just talk about different products that they have out there. Facebook or Twitter, I'll get notifications, and obviously Skype is running because if somebody were to call me or whatever, that would ring right through where I could get to, I could get to that call on my computer. Same thing with the calendar. If I had birthdays pop up all the time, letting me know it's somebody's birthday. That's usually through somehow it hooked up to through Facebook and stuff like that. And then email, obviously, anytime you get a new email, it pops up and it lets me know that there's a new email waiting for me to look at.
Exactly, and I noticed that you skipped over the instant house call one, so I'll fill in because I'm guessing you don't know what the purpose of the background app is for that.
No, I said that one. That was the second one I said, didn't I?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The reason for that is if you get an incoming call for a remote support call, it'll bring it up and let you know, so that if you're not sitting in front of your computer, you can still connect to your customer.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you what that actually does because it wanted to take control. And I remember it kind of telling me, but I wasn't really thinking about what it did. So that app can be running in the background all the time, and then if somebody calls in that needs remote support, through my web page or whatever, it'll pop up and let me know that they're ready to be taken care of. That type of thing.
Exactly. And then
that's
you can
awesome.
decline the call if you want to.
Okay.
Yep.
Which depending on who it is, I might want to decline the call. And then so the way he just closed that app too, for those that are listening via audio, and I apologize for that, And you can check this out on our YouTube channel. This information will be there. This podcast will be there. But he basically was able to drag the window of that app down to the bottom, which was the settings app at the time. He dragged it down to the bottom and let go of it, and boom, it disappears.
Exactly, and so that you can either use here. I'll do it here as well. You can either use that little black bar that comes along that looks like a title bar that you're used to and click the X, or I find it more convenient just to grab the top of the app and just drag it straight to the bottom of the screen and you're done. Both work equally well. And you can see that it'll immediately suspend the app. Now again, that app is suspended, but it's actually not closed. So it's not using any resources, it's just sort of sitting there. But if you wanted to terminate an app, and this is a really handy feature in my opinion, especially for apps that are, say, misbehaving, you can grab the app from the very top, just like you're going to close it, drag it down 2/3 of the way, and you'll see the app flip. And then once it flips, that means it terminates, you bring it back up, and it'll restart the app completely.
Wow. Okay. So so that can, instead of basically what we're used to is we shut an app down when it's a desktop app, we start the app back up, because it's not running right with it. Or worst case scenario is when we're on our computer and we have to shut something down and something is gooped up in the background. Then then what we'll do is we'll shut our computer down and do a restart, which we tell all our customers, hey, did you restart that yet?
Right. Yeah, and it's much easier than coaching your customer through the traditional right-click task manager, find the processes, and then terminate the process. That's how we would typically ask them to do it. And here we can just say, okay, drag it down, wait till it flips, and once it flips, you can either drop it to the bottom and it completely terminates it, or bring it back up and it will restart the app from scratch. And if you were to look here back at the details, you'll notice that the specialist metro is now gone because we terminated it.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Now, how do we terminate that and you're still in control?
That was the specialist side. I'm on the customer side, or you're on the customer side right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So okay, I gotcha. Very cool. So yeah, we're in the task manager now, looking at all the hundreds of apps I have running, and just sucking up those memory resources. Man, some of them are. I didn't realize that Office Click to Run.exe is huge in the memory.
Yeah, that stuff. I mean, if you sort by memory, you can see Chrome is sucking up a whole bunch of resources right now.
Well, of course, we're doing video, right? So
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Thank God for 32 gig RAM.
But that's because it's a desktop app. So, for example, if you were using the modern IE, let's take a look here. Oh, you've got it set up to use the desktop IE. But if you were
do you know how to set that up to use it? Because I tried to find the modern IE and I couldn't find it.
Do you remember how you disabled it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, let's see if we can figure it out.
Because I had looked for it to figure out, hey, how do I get to the modern Internet Explorer app? Which I had. I think I just deleted it from my start menu, to be honest with you. And once it disappeared, for whatever reason, when I added Internet Explorer back in, because it's not on the apps screen, which you're looking at right now. It's weird. All that's there is Internet Explorer. So I was a little confused of why. It's something obviously I did, but I'm not sure what it is I did.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't even know that was possible. So you've taught me something new here today.
Hey, Corey, I'm going to tell you right now. If it can be broke, I can break it.
Fortunately, you can fix it too, so that's not such a bad combo.
Right. I just never have looked it up yet. So, but yeah, I want to get back to to being able to do that. So, and just to let you guys know, anyone that's watching the video, I offered before to take a screenshot of my screen, and a couple people have asked me for it, and just to see how I have things set up. And it's, to me, this start menu is no different than the start menu we had before, except, at my age, the icons are much, much bigger, and I don't have to, you know, when I jitter with my mouse now, I don't have to click on that tiny little file folder or tiny little icon. I've got huge icons that I can quickly find. I basically hit my Windows key, find it with my mouse, what I want to open up, boom, you know, and I've created, you know, different things. I've got my computer stuff where I'll have things like computer, documents, customer repair logs, downloads, local disk, media drive, control panel, things that I use all the time, calculator. And then I've got my Office apps, obviously, in another one, you know, with my scanner, different things like that. Then I've got my creative stuff, you know, where I've got my Adobe apps, Adobe Audition, Acrobat, you know, Inkscape, Photoshop, stuff like that. My snipping tool. You know, I've got my Bible app on my reading. Social, I've got my Facebook, Twitter, Mumble, Skype for desktop, Pamela for Skype, and my Logitech webcam. Under entertainment, I have camera, music, video, store, which is the Windows App Store, Netflix, YouTube, Inflixter, and for my online stuff, Internet Explorer desktop, Google Chrome desktop, in my Amazon and Newegg. And then under games, you know, I got Steam, Origin, games for Windows. But that's basically the layout of. So I've created categories, which you can name whatever you want, in each and every one of these apps, or each and every one of these categories, and I've added stuff to it that I want in that category so I can find it quickly. And then if you want to go down to where you open up all the apps, the arrow on the bottom left-hand side, you can click on that, and that will give you all the apps that are loaded on the machine. Which is why I can't figure out where the Internet Explorer app is.
Yeah, I think you completely uninstalled it.
Oh, I'm awesome.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. So anyway,
and actually,
I looked in the store, I couldn't find it. So
yeah, I'll check to see if I can find out
okay.
find out how to reinstall that for you. But that actually brings up a good point, which is it's really easy to uninstall apps on the modern side. Now, I'm not going to uninstall anything on your computer, but any app, they all have. So if you look back at desktop apps, and I know I've seen a million of these where they put the uninstall in the start menu, or you can do uninstall from add remove programs,
right,
or they put the uninstall inside a folder somewhere in the start menu. That's changed completely. Every app is uninstalled the same way. You right-click on the app, and you choose uninstall. Camera looks like there we go, and you choose uninstall, and the app will be removed from your computer. So it makes it very, very easy for your customers to install and uninstall apps because everything gets installed on the modern side from the store and uninstalled from just a simple right-click.
Because you would be amazed how many times a customer doesn't know. I ask people all the time, "Hey, do you know how to uninstall an app?" And they look at me. All programs, what I used to say, and they're like going, they literally have no clue. Now there are a lot of people out there that do know how to do that, but I still think the vast majority just don't know how to do it. And you know, we kind of, if you can make it simpler for the normal user, and we've got to get it out of our heads that this operating system, it was not built for us. It was built for a normal user. And you know, and for me, I've changed actually quite a few people over to Windows 8, and less than 5 minutes I spent with them, and I never had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they went along their merry way, and they did the things that they needed to do, which was surf the internet, check their email, talk on Skype. And that was pretty much the gist of what you go and pay bills online, you know, a few things like that, but nothing major that a normal person couldn't do. They weren't doing Photoshop, they weren't doing, you know, any of these other types of things. So it worked out perfectly for them. So that's just my opinion on Windows 8, and I think anytime you can make it easier where I don't have to drill down in a menu to get where I need to go. Because think about how many mouse clicks do we have to get to the point of uninstalling a program?
Right. Yeah, no, I get, and you have to know to go to the control panel, then find out to remove programs, and then scroll down and find it. It's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. So I do like this. I like this format where basically I can uninstall anything right from here. And guess, you know, and it still goes to the uninstall, you know, screen, the one that we're all used to. But it's cool because it starts everything up right from here, basically one mouse click and done. So, all right.
Absolutely. And then the one other thing that I think we touched on is the difference between the way the mouse works on Windows 8, or at least on the modern side, versus the desktop side. The gestures are completely different. So we talked about moving up to the top of the screen and dragging down to close a window. There's also the elimination of the double click. So you'll notice everything is single click. Is it okay if I open up, say, your Twitter here?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if we were to
because I don't use it.
If we were to open up your Twitter or any modern app, it's going to look like this. But you'll notice that most of your options aren't available. You'll know what I'm doing here is I'm right-clicking, and you'll see down at the bottom a gray bar appears, and down at the top a blue bar appears. These are called app bars, and this is where all of your commands for the app are going to appear. Now, Twitter itself doesn't have a ton of things to show you. So let me hop into Instant House.
Well, I was going to say one of the things that Twitter does have. So at the top, I have two different Twitter accounts. Don't ask me why, because I don't use either one of them. But I talk about them almost every show. But anyways, yeah, I do look at the content and stuff on there, and it's good for passing on information. But one of the things it had, you can switch between the two accounts in the modern app. And then down on the bottom bar, the gray bar that he was talking about, on the right-hand corner, the lower right-hand corner, there's a refresh button to refresh your feed so that you can get the new thing. And it does it automatically, but that's a good way to refresh it instantly and kind of get it moving along.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of the gestures, I'm just going to pull something up here. All right. So in terms of the gestures, if you're looking for the additional features, when you right-click, you'll see all of the features come up along the bottom here, and that's going to be consistent across every modern app. And then along the top, you'll see typically navigation. So here, the only navigation button we have is Home, and that will allow you to switch between sessions, for example. So again, when you right-click, you get the bottom app bar with the features, and the top app bar is for navigation, and that's pretty consistent over most of them.
Very cool.
Make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. Now, then, because Windows 8 is made for both touch and mouse, there are standard gestures for pretty much everything. So when you're looking at this screen right now, and just for those folks who are listening and not watching, we're doing a remote session, and we're on an XP machine that has a much lower resolution than Jeff's PC. So the screen looks quite small. Again, in any modern app where you have this type of control that allows you to zoom in and out, Control mouse wheel will allow you to make things bigger and smaller. And so that's what I'm doing right here.
Oh, that makes it a lot easier. I didn't realize that you could do that.
So that'll allow you to make things bigger and smaller. So Control mouse wheel will always zoom in and out. And if you're using touch, you can of course use a pinch that I'm sure most folks are
pinch and zoom, right? So is that now that's on any app? They're all Control and mouse wheel will increase, decrease, or most apps that are made to, like Internet Explorer, different things like that.
Yeah, Control mouse wheel will zoom in and out on IE as well. On pretty much any app. So if it's text, it'll make the text bigger. If it's, in this case, it's a graphic of another PC, then we're able to make the other PC bigger and smaller.
That's great. I mean, right there, that saves a lot of time than trying to reconfigure, because a lot of times we get in these our desktop apps, and a lot of times really to make the things bigger, you got to change the resolution on your computer. So I mean, I know in the browser you can, still Control mouse wheel will still work in the browser for increasing things and stuff like that. Not in every program or desktop program that we use, I don't think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then in terms of differences in like keystrokes that you're used to using, again, Windows 8 restricts this a little bit more. So it's got they've changed the Windows key to an interrupt key. So the Windows key, it's sort of like Control-Delete is an interrupt. It forces the
Right.
operating system to pay attention, and it grabs that. It won't allow it to come from another place. The Windows key is also an interrupt key. So if I tap Windows, it will always take me back to my home screen. The way because pressing Windows, and I'll do it right now, takes us back to the home screen. Tapping it again, by the way, brings back the other app.
Right.
We weren't able to allow the Windows keystroke to be captured and sent to the remote PC. So we added this little soft Windows key, and that essentially does the same thing into the UI. There's a little soft Windows key.
Okay, so in your program Instant House Call, then basically on the modern app, which it adds some more functionality than the desktop app. There's things that you can do right here that and when you hit the Windows key, the virtual Windows key, we'll call it, that basically brought up the start menu. Which, funny enough, I started thinking about that the other day. As I'm working on computers all the time, I didn't used to be a hit the Windows key type guy until I started using Windows 8. Now I do it on every machine that I get on and use.
Yeah.
And I use it effectively because it brings up my start menu, which is all it does the same thing that I do. It brings up a smaller, very small icon menu that's 100 applications deep that I got to filter through to find what I need.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Windows key also has special keystrokes associated with it. So WinR, for example, will bring up run, or WinC will bring up the charms bar. WinTab allows you to switch between modern apps.
Nice. Okay. I didn't even know about it. So WinRun or WinR is the run command. Okay, very cool. Because again, as technicians, how often do we use that?
Exactly.
We're using that all the time. It's very important to us.
And because that's captured by the operating system, in our case, we can go up here and, for example, type regedit, and it'll just run that on the remote PC. So those keys that you wouldn't necessarily have access to, we've made other options for.
So that definitely makes it very, very helpful when you're doing remote support using this particular software.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Now back to the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
Back to the standard Windows 8 type stuff. If you're looking to find settings on a desktop app, for example, you can you can find it a bunch of places. It might be in Tool Settings, File Preferences, or Edit Preferences rather, File Setup. In Windows 8, it's always in exactly the same place. So if you go to the Charms bar, which I got to by pressing Win-C, and click on Settings, you'll find the settings for this particular app, for whichever app is on the screen at any given time. But if you have two apps available, let's bring another one in here. You'll notice
we've got my desktop, and we've got the Instant House Call, basically screens open, split screen.
Exactly. So on the left we have the desktop, and on the right there's Instant House Call. You'll notice in this dividing bar, if you take a look at that line right there, there's a little white vertical line. That line is pointing to the app that the Charms bar is going to be affecting. So if I go into Charms right now, that white line says it's going to be pointing to the desktop, and of course that's what we see. I click on Control Panel, it's controlling the Control Panel. If I then click here onto the Instant House Call app on the right, you'll see the little white line moves off to the right. And we bring back the Charms bar, go to Settings, and you'll see those settings are now pointing to the Instant House Call app. So that's how you can toggle between the two. And because you've got such a big monitor, we could probably get 3, maybe 4 apps up there into the split screen if we wanted to.
Go big or go home, that's what I say. Oh, very cool. So so you can control. So depending on, and I don't know what they call those 3 dots. I don't think it's not a hamburger menu. It's I don't know, whatever it is. It's basically a dividing line. But yeah, so you can click on either whatever. It's basically like clicking on a window. You're clicking on a window, and it's just telling you by the little white line which one you're controlling at that time, or which one you've taken control of, so you can get to those settings.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what I typically do is I'll have, say, Skype and just to get a little bit of terminology out of the way here, when you have something that's stuck along the side, so what I just did for the folks who are listening is I expanded the one window, and I made the desktop quite small. It's sort of stuck on the left-hand side of the screen. When you do that, it allows you to say chat in Skype on the left while you're working on, in this case, a remote on the right-hand side. This is sort of the replacement for having a bunch of windows on your desktop that you're constantly either alt-tabbing between, or just flipping between in some other way. It's a sort of a tidier way of doing it, and modern apps will always be responsive to those changes. So I'm not sure if I can do it on the remote to really show you, but let me see if I can bring this up and show you what it looks like when it's snapped. Here, we'll take a modern app and show you what it looks like snapped. The icons inside of the app change their size and their layout to respond to being sort of smushed together, and even the app bars and stuff will change as well.
So instead of being like spread out across the screen, they're going to be in a vertical pattern, versus like a horizontal pattern, and to make it more concise to where you can see the information in that app.
Exactly. Okay. And if we were to bring back your weather app, it's probably a better example of that.
Yeah, because I'm always checking my weather. I'll be like Steve C. I can just look out the window. I don't live in a basement.
There we go. So that's what a snapped app looks like. So you can see when it's shrunken down, it's giving you a nice clean list of the weather that's easy to read when it's small, and then when you make it nice and big, it'll show you a big version of the weather. You can see the responsive layout happening right there.
Very cool. I'll tell you what, they need to work on the resolution on that one though. It's a little fuzzy for that. Maybe they did the background. Maybe that's artistic. I don't know. I don't know nothing about art, so But I guess as long as you can read the weather, and it's one over here, so we're doing pretty good. All right. Okay, so what else do we have? Did we pretty much cover everything on Windows 8.1 as far as what technicians and stuff can do? I can't remember all the stuff we went over last time.
I know, I'm racking my brain as well. I think I think one of them was the right click on the start menu, where you've got the program's features, power options, system event, device manager, all the good stuff that the technician's going to use can be found by right clicking on that start menu that you now have on your desktop.
And I'm amazed that they actually have the command prompt with admin right in there, with admin privileges. Because how many times do you have to do something in command prompt, and you need admin privileges, but you forgot. You just went to CMD, you go into command, and you go to do something, and it's like going, nope, won't do it. And so they actually gave that option. And to me, that menu right there almost seems like Windows or Microsoft actually made that for computer repair technicians. That's what it seems like to me.
I'd completely agree. And actually, on your point of getting to the administrator command prompt, I'm going to show you a really quick shortcut that I use all the time, and that is you click the Windows key to get back to the home to the start screen rather. Type CMD just like you normally would, but instead of pressing Enter, press Control-Shift-Enter, and when you do that,
gotcha. Comes up the user account control.
Comes up with the UAC, and then you're going to be directly in an administrator command prompt. You can see it in the title bar right there.
Yeah, very nice.
So a very quick way to get to an administrator command prompt, go to the start screen, type CMD, Control-Shift-Enter.
Awesome. Okay, great.
I think it was it like that in Windows 7 as well? I can't remember.
You know what? I don't remember. I would go through and do I can't even remember the way I used to do it, but yeah, I really wish I would have learned my keyboard shortcuts early on, because that would have helped me over time. But I was strictly a mouse guy, and then to be quite honest with you, everybody says, "Oh, mousing is easier," and I'm like going, my wrist gets tired. When I got to go all across the whole 30 inches, it's a long way, and I don't want to, I'm tired of doing that. So anything, my hands are always on the keyboard. Let me just hit a keyboard prompt to be able to do that. So on that, I'm not sure. Somebody could probably answer that question out in the audience, I'm sure. All right. So what other things? Did we cover everything in your modern app? The types of things that it can do.
There's a lot. There's a lot in there. We could we could probably do an entire show on that.
Okay, well let's do that. We'll make another time where we actually come in and we do a demo of Instant House Call, the modern app, and show all the different things that it can do.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and set that up. All right, do you want to talk about if we're kind of done here in showing what we needed to show, and kind of let people know the availability that they have in Windows 8.1 as a computer repair tech. You want to talk about some of the leaks and different things of Windows 9?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff. So to give you a little bit of background on where everything's coming from, Microsoft recently released a private release, I think to the OEMs, but to a very select group of folks. And they got a sneak peek, and of course, I guess their employees or maybe themselves are letting are sending out screenshots and videos of sort of what we can expect. Now I know it's not far away that the first technical preview is going to be coming out. I think that's going to be in 2 weeks on September 30th. But it's cool to get a sneak peek at what's going on. So I've been following these leaks quite a bit, and of course the one that everyone's been waiting for has already come out. That's the start menu. There is going to be a start menu in Windows 9, which may or may not be called Windows 9. I'm hearing rumors that it might be just called Windows, and they're going to do away entirely with version numbers. They might end up calling it Windows 9, and of course its code name internally is called Threshold. But the start menu, no matter what it's called, is going to be coming back. And it's going to be a bit of a hybrid between the traditional start menu, where you've got your all programs, and then on the right there's going to be a pane with some modern apps. And I think the idea here is to give you more choices, which is what a lot of people have been asking for. So you'll be able to pull your desktop apps, run them on the desktop, and you'll be able to run your modern apps in the standard way with some additional stuff as well.
Very cool. Yeah, so I think the start menu, to me, I've gotten so used to having the huge start menu that I have that by clicking the Windows key, to me that's just kind of the way that it seems like it's just easier to do that. So I don't know if hopefully they have it where you can do it either way.
And I think I did hear something about that, where you'll be able to choose. So the folks who like the way Windows 8 is set up can use the start screen. The people who like the desktop can use the start menu. You'll be able to go back and forth between the two, I believe.
Okay, no, that would be great. Because now that I've gotten used to something, I don't really want to go back to a tiny little start menu where I got to squint and to see what I'm looking at. Now some people might say, oh, it worked before. Well, that's fine. I'm past the the 90s. I want to move ahead, so or early 2000s, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, like I said in the last show, I really it took me a lot of getting used to on the start screen side, but once I got used to it, and it didn't, once I started really using the start screen the way it's meant to be used, it really made a big difference for me. And you can see even in this demo, I just default to it. It's just that's where I go. I hit the Windows key, I start typing.
And that's what I started doing. Once you showed me how to do that I can hit the Windows key, start typing whatever it is I want, and it comes up instantaneously. Usually within the first 3 letters, I've got exactly what I want most of the time. Sometimes I might have to look down, maybe 3 or 4 items to find what I'm looking for, but most of the time, man, it's just I don't know what they did, but it seems to be right there.
Yeah, and actually one of the tips, I don't think I mentioned this in the last show, that I would, it's a great upsell for a computer tech, is a touch mouse. Have you tried a touch mouse before?
No, I haven't.
So what it does is instead of your traditional left and right click, they're still there, but it has touch gestures that you can use. So if you've ever used Windows 8 on a touch screen, a lot of the gestures that you would use on the mouse would be the same. So you slide your finger across the left edge of the mouse, and it'll switch apps. If you slide your finger down, it'll close the app. And then, of course, you can just use it as a regular mouse and left and right click. I think that's one of the best add-ons to a Windows 8 machine. I love it. It makes things so much quicker. But I think I'm the only person I've ever met who has one.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even realize that they made something. Now, the other thing that I had heard before was basically, what was it? A Wacom tablet. Some people, instead of having a touch screen, they use a Wacom tablet, and you can do the pinch and zoom, and you can basically touch on your desktop, just kind of like a touchpad that you would have for a laptop, right? Mm-hmm. And so it seems like it would work fine, something like that, because again, I'm not going to reach all the way up in front of me and touch my screen. I don't think I'll ever do that type of thing. So,
no, I can't see myself on a desktop doing that either. And
I mean, I've done it on a laptop by accident. I'll be sitting there showing something to my wife, and I'll go to hit the little icon, and she's laughing at me because I'm tapping the screen.
It's funny. On a laptop, I use it all the time. Like I'm so used to just reaching out and touching the screen that it's actually natural for me. On a desktop, will it become that way for me? I don't know. I don't have a touch screen, so I couldn't tell you. I have a touch mouse. I use that like crazy, but it feels like a very far way for me to reach just to get to an icon. But I guess time will tell. We'll see.
Oh, absolutely. Let me show a real quick picture here. Let me screen share, and we'll share my screen real quick again. And then we'll click on that. Okay, so I think we've got it up there. Basically, here's a picture of the Windows Start screen, looking like in Windows 9. Here's one of the leaked pictures. And basically, it's got the same menu as it had before with the pretty icons just to the right of that. Again, I don't know that I want to go back to hitting all these small icons on the left-hand side right here. I would rather go into my regular, Windows screen and just click on what I need to. It's so fast and so easy to do, and I can lay out as much crap in here as I want. I'm sorry, I said crap, in which my wife won't be happy. But you can lay out as much stuff as you want in here, and you can actually get to it very, very quickly. It's not even like if you go to the features and apps and stuff and look at that in the control panel. If you're looking at the apps here, man, all I'm doing is got to scroll my mouse. These are all the things I have installed, and I can get to it. Alphabetical order, very easy to find, except for my Internet Explorer, modern app. I don't know where that's at, but anyways, everything is easy to find in here. So I really like that. So I think it'll be one of those things that. I don't know. I don't think I'll go back to it. I think I'm ready to move ahead. But yeah, I think if I ever buy another laptop, which I don't really have a need, I'm sure I'll have a need for one. But I would probably buy a touchscreen laptop moving forward. I can see that.
Yeah, I moved. I used to think touchscreens were silly, and now that I've moved on to it, it really it's just part of the experience for me, which is interesting. There's also, and I'll see if I can find the video for the show notes, but there's also a keyboard that again Microsoft Research has that they're currently testing. You can hover your hand over the keyboard and do gestures that way too, so you don't even have to leave the keyboard. For the guys who really like keyboard, I would use this like crazy. So you'd hover your hand, say, over the keyboard and move it to the right, and it would scroll the window to the right, or move it up and it would scroll the window down. I can, if that ever happens, I would absolutely have one.
Yeah, I want to do the Minority Report.
It's like very much right out of that. I think Kinect is going to be the first step towards the Minority Report feel.
I look like a complete idiot waving my hands in the air.
But yeah, no, they're very cool stuff. And if you can bring up that screenshot again of the Windows 9 stuff, I want to point out a couple of things on that screenshot you may not have noticed just yet.
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Yeah, you got it. So if you look down toward the bottom of where the start screen is, or pardon me, the start menu on Windows 9, you'll see the traditional start menu, but they've added some stuff that I think techs are going to be all over. And I think for the folks who are sort of on the fence as to whether or not they're going to want to adopt this, I think this is going to make a really big change for you. So if you can zoom that right in, and we'll take a look at the start menu. Starting from the left, you'll see the traditional start menu with that sort of new modern look and feel. And you can see they're starting to update the icon. So like the File Explorer, for example, it has a very flat modern look. But down along the bottom, if you look at the start, next to it is a magnifying glass. That's going to be your search. That's going to be the equivalent to the search charm on the start screen. The more interesting one, in my opinion, is see those two windows there? If you can just move your mouse to the next icon to the right, there are two flat windows. Do you know what that is? Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. What's that?
That is multiple desktops. So finally, you'll be able to have several desktops on Windows. You'll be able to switch between them very easily. So when you click it, if that were live and you were to click on it, you'd be able to have one desktop with, say, Microsoft Word to Calculator, another desktop with Excel or PowerPoint or whatever, and a third desktop with your chat for Podnutz. And then you can switch between desktops, so you have like different sort of realms that you can work within. It's very Linuxy. This has been around in Linux for a while. It's finally coming to Windows.
That is awesome. Number one, I didn't know that was Linuxy. Is that a word that we've just created?
I think we just made a word.
But no, that's cool. Because you're talking about it. I'm sitting here thinking, going, yeah, man. When I sit down to do a podcast, I can have all the tools that I use for podcasting. And when I sit down to do work for my business, I can have all the tools that I use for my business. And if I sit down to do anything creative, I can have all the tools. Wow. That's really cool. I like it.
I'm going to guess, and this is, again, pure speculation on my part, that's going to fold into the modern app suspending, where the modern apps that are on the additional desktops are going to suspend when that desktop is not physically visible, much like they do right now when they're full screen.
Gotcha. Okay.
But pure speculation on my part. I haven't had a chance to tinker with it, but I will definitely update you when I know a little bit more there.
Now, do we know when this is coming out?
This is coming out for technical preview on September 30th, so it's coming out very shortly. I would not be surprised if you did a little bit of digging, if you could track it down elsewhere, but could not say for sure because I haven't done so myself.
What's the technical preview?
So they used to have developer previews.
Okay.
So it's basically it's beta, for lack of a better word. It's going to be the beta version.
In normally Microsoft has always given that to everybody, right, or made it available.
Though traditionally they would give developers a sneak peek so they can get their software ready, and then they would make it available to, say, TechNet, and then they would make it available to the public, and then they would actually launch it. Their cadence has changed a little bit. I think they're just making it available to everybody all in one shot because they know full well once they leak it to the developers, it's going to be leaked to everybody.
It's out, right?
Yeah, it's done. So they're going to be making it available now. Typically, and I can almost guarantee this is the case just from looking at those screenshots. Typically, those previews look. Functionality-wise, they've got most of the stuff, but the look will change pretty drastically. And I can tell from looking at these screenshots that we have up on the screen right now, that File Explorer that you see next to IE in the bottom right on the taskbar, that's very clearly a Metro version. The file folders that you see, or the libraries just above it, the videos, downloads, music, they haven't been updated yet. So you can tell they're still doing lots of UI changes, and I can almost guarantee you that when this comes out, everything's going to be updated to have a brand new look.
Okay, gotcha. But they just want, because that does kind of look a little different from kind of everything else.
Exactly. And then if you take a look at that Windows Store one, just above, you'll notice that the Windows Store is running inside of a window. And that tells you, obviously, that modern apps are going to be running in Windows. Something people have been asking for a very long time. That's coming to Windows 9 as well.
It's funny because people have been asking for Windows, and ever since I've moved to Windows 7. I mean, I'm on Windows 8 obviously right now, but when I moved to Windows 7, one of the features I loved about Windows 7 was the snapping feature. So I was snapping my windows. I could snap one, two, three windows. It doesn't matter. I could line them all up on my desktop and kind of work from that type of look, and I could move between the apps, no problem. So
Hmm.
to have the windows, I mean, I still do use the windows sometimes, as you guys saw, during this demo. But some of the things is I'll have a window, up in the top. I'll have a window to the right. I'll have a window to the left. But I can definitely see the future of having, each window for each specific app, as long as it's written correctly, so that you can see all the information that's inside there without squishing it too much.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think the idea of having Windows on a desktop for consumers, again, not for technicians, but for consumers, they're trying to kind of move away from that. I think Windows 8 was the first step towards that. Windows 9 is going to bring some more stuff for the technical folks who want to be on the desktop, and then the consumers will sort of play on the modern side more than more than the traditional Windows side.
Gotcha. And my browser just went haywire. I don't know what that was all about, but hey, all right. All right. Well, we covered a lot of stuff on the show today. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to share?
I guess one more leak when I was looking at those screenshots. Something that you'll notice at the bottom right of those screenshots is there's a little square with some horizontal lines across it. That is that's what one would expect to be a notification center. And so Windows is finally going to have a notification center, much like your phone, where you'll be able to get all of your messages in one place. So if you get, say, a Skype message, an email message, and a calendar notification, those will all pop up in a single place that you'll be able to easily go to those apps and find out more.
Okay, wow, that's great because I think a lot of us, I know with my phone and even using Google Hangouts and stuff like that, I live for the notifications.
Hmm.
One of the things I love that Google does is the notifications on the phone is, if I'm on my desktop and I go and I search a map on using Google Maps, when for going to a customer's house or something like that, as soon as I get in the car, I can bring it up because it's already saved it,
Hmm.
and it's the top of my list. I click it, navigate, boom, done. I'm on my way. So if Windows modern apps can start doing those types of things, that's going to be great because I think that's what people really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't have any confirmation of this, but it looks like Cortana, which is kind of like Microsoft Siri, is coming to Windows 9 as well. So the AI for that's currently on Windows Phone is going to be coming to the desktop as well. I think that's going to be the start of what you just described, where it's got a little bit of intelligence as to, hey, he looked on a map for this. Why don't I help him find the place when he needs to get there?
Now we just need to get all these companies to work together, which they won't, and
Right, right.
and share. Stop making it so convoluted for everybody that you have to live in one universe, to get all the benefits. And I know it's a real estate grab, for each of these companies, but hopefully down the road they'll start to work together a little bit.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed for that for sure.
Won't
Because
happen,
you
but
should be able to use your Android phone with your Windows desktop and your iPhone all at the same time, and not have to worry about transferring stuff back and forth. It's a little I'm sure it'll come in time, but not. It's definitely not there right now. Just like you pointed
no. Well, and a lot of people don't realize this. One of the reasons I like my Android phone is because regardless of what you think, okay, the reason I like Windows personally is there's 12 different ways to do any task that I want to do. Some people call that too convoluted. I call it choice.
out.
That's just me. But guess what? The same thing I do with my Android phone. That's why I like the Android universe also. So that's what I'm doing is, I've got choice to do different things the way I want to do them. But a lot of the apps and stuff out there, they do have to work on it, and I'm hoping that developers will grab a hold of some of these things, because I still think I live in a Windows universe on the desktop, because that's where I have to live for the things that I do. I'm sorry, there's no other gaming platform. It's not going to be Linux. It's not going to be Apple. In my opinion, that's just never going to happen. It's going to be a Windows universe. I'm not a console gamer. But that's just the way it is. But that's where I have to be for those types of things. But as far as internet notifications, getting from point A to B, using the different apps and different things like that, I hope that they become better, over time.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that.
So. Well, yeah, we've had a good, action-packed show, I think. Hopefully a lot of people got some information out of this. Like I said, we kind of did this in just an audio format a couple weeks ago on a Podnutz Daily to kind of explain some of these same things. We wanted to come back and do a Podnutz episode and basically talk about what we're doing and share some of the information. And then we will come back at another time, and we'll definitely do another Podnutz episode where we do a full demo of Instant Housecall, the modern app. I just love saying that. That's just kind of cool. Instant Housecall, the modern app. Sounds like a movie title. But Corey, I appreciate you coming on again and sharing with us and giving us your information, the tips and the leaks from Windows 9 and stuff like that, and definitely keep us up to date on what you're seeing. And I can't wait for the preview, because I would definitely put it on a machine and definitely check it out, because I want to see what it's going to be doing. Because I kind of waited last time and waited for it to come out, and then I was kind of left behind as a technician because I didn't know what to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Lots of exciting stuff coming out, and I'll keep you posted on what I hear.
Sounds good. Hey, if people wanted to reach you, what would be the best way to do that?
You can reach me at Corey, Corey, at instanthousecall.com.
Excellent. Okay, we'll definitely have that in the show notes. And then, if you want to find me, you guys can find me over at Google Plus as Jeffery Halash, or Twitter at TechNutPC. And you can also leave a voicemail at 1-888-697-0162, and we will be able to play those on the show. And if you are a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, please email me at podnutzdaily@podnutz.com. And anybody that's a computer repair tech, you're more than welcome to come on a show and share what you're doing in your shop. And if you guys would like to feature your product or service on this show, you can email me at podnutz@podnutz.com. You guys can help support the Podnutz Network. The next time you're shopping at Amazon, go to podnutz.com/Amazon. Remember, that doesn't change your price at all. It just puts a little change in the pockets of the Podnutz Network to bring you these great shows. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. And I believe that's a wrap.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
It's funny having to do the video at the same time actually is a completely different. It's a very different experience. Like it's tougher to multitask like that. When we were just chatting the first time, that was It
is. You know what? You just see me. I basically struggled with getting the end to play. And this is still going on video, so everybody can know. This is a learning experience for me on how to do this stuff, because I'm just constantly thinking, I've got to think of this. Hey, is the recording okay? Okay, we got this, and you're screen sharing, and there's a lot of things that goes on that when you're just doing an audio podcast, man, you're just kind of sitting back and you're just chatting.
Yeah, so. No, it's cool.
But hey, again, I'm one of those people. I don't want to get stuck in the '90s, so I'm going to move ahead and I'm going to learn something new.
Good stuff. Yeah, no,
Uh,
I know Mike does it on Ustream all the time. He does it so smoothly. It's so impressive.
Mike's awesome.
Oh,
That
geez,
guy,
yeah.
he blows me. Again, he's just one of those guys that I can't believe he can sit. Well, I can believe it. He's really good at it. He can sit there and he can carry a show by himself, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I don't believe I could do that. I like to have people that I can bounce things off of.
Hmm.
But but yeah, he does an awesome job over there. So
Yeah, it's amazing, and week in, week out to be able to do that and keep it so engaging and so it's amazing. It's
it is.
absolutely amazing.
It is. He's a special person, that's for sure. So.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and stop the. I think we're going to stop the broadcast, and then we'll call this a wrap. And yeah, we
Okay.
can stay on the line for a minute here. All right. See y'all guys, and hope you enjoyed the show.